G'day, guys. Welcome back to the Steel Syndicate podcast. I'm your host, Mark, with my good mate, Pittsburgh, Owen. Owen, how's it going?
Oh, good, bro. Down here up here, down here, and wherever we are.
I don't know where you are.
Just somewhere where it's cold and dark and wet.
Yeah, it's always like we just had a discussion off there talking about the weather, and it's always, miserable, I guess, in UK. Like it's
Always, man, always, yeah.
That's why your hills are so green. Everything's so green because it's always, it always rains there. And we have the exact same weather right now. I think it's like, I don't know how to do it. Oh, man, Fahrenheit. Let's just call it like 60. I think it could be 60 Fahrenheit. We're probably the exact same, but I'm freezing and you're like warm, right?
Yeah, it's like a heat wave here.
people
in like shorts and flip flops around here. Like seriously, bit of sun. That's it in England.
Yeah, it's complete different weather. Like the sun's out today. I'm gonna head out and do some Uber Eats and stuff like that after this podcast. But before we do that, do you want to start the show and talk about the all 53 man roster?
Sounds like a good plan, man.
Because I think we have different stuff. So I'm going to show what the idea is. I'm going to show my 53. We want to talk about it, and then I'm going to interject your slides as well as we go. So let's start the show. Let's bring up the cheesy Steel City. You know this one. You know. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah. Yay!
And welcome back. It sounds like what's that show, like Wheel of Fortune or something like that? I'm like the host. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're not going to muck around. Put this here. Pause that. Do this. Let's talk about this is mine, all right? So the video here was always going to be mine. So what do you think? What are your thoughts of this? I've got Trubisky, Pickett, and Chris OLADOUKEN. Thoughts on that?
Spot on, man. Happy with that. Definitely. Yeah. I think the more we listen to the coaches, the more we listen I think it's a done deal. Trubisky starts. He's made an exceptionally impressive start to his Steelers career. I think that's pretty much spot on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so when I was going through this list and we'll try and go through it fast because it is quite lengthy, but I like Trubisky in there. I think you can't get rid of Pickett, and I think there's a big chance that maybe Mason Rudolph may be picked up by another team or traded away because he is a good backup. I know you don't like him that much, but he's a good backup. But you can't have the chance. You can't lose Chris OLADOUKEN, right? So let's go into. I know you have your QB and RB together, so I won't give that away just yet. But let's go into my RB, and then I'll bring up your slide right after.
Okay, man.
So next one. So I've got for running back here, Najee Harris, number 1, of course. Benny Snell Jr., Anthony McFarland Jr., and Derrick. What thoughts on those? Now, I didn't go too crazy in this spot.
Najee's given RB1. He's the best running back in the AFC North, without one of the best running backs in the AFC. Probably there's only really Derrick Henry I would put above him. Benny Snell is just awful, absolutely awful. The guy is just. He's in his last year. I'm really hoping that we just get rid of him now. And Mac, I think he's got promise. He's the one. He brings something to the party that none of the other the running backs bring to the party because he's fast. He is a change of pace back. So I can see that. And Derek Watts is shooing. I mean, he's special teams captain. I don't think we'll use him a great deal in the fullback role because we don't seem to use a fullback anymore. So the only one I don't really like there is Benny Snell Jr.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I put him in there just because that's what I think the Steelers would do. I think the Steelers would go out there and put Benny Snell in. Now we bring up your list here, so we bring up Trubisky, Pickett, and OLADOUKEN is exactly the same. Najee Harris, Mateo Durant, and McFarland. You did miss out. I'm not too sure if that was a mistake or not, but what are your thoughts about Mateo Durant making the team?
I just think that he brings something different. What I've read about him at Duke, he seems to be just a breath of fresh air. He's got quickness. He's got secondary speed. He's a tough guy. I just think he can add something different to what Benny Snell adds, and I'm just not a fan of Benny Snell. I haven't been, since the guys joined the Steelers. I just don't think he's ever provided anything.
I kind of agree with you, but I think the Steelers will just keep him on the roster just because that's what I think they would do.
Do you know why? Do you know why we'll keep him? because he's got the photos of Daniel McCullers, hasn't he? He's got the naked photos of Mike Tomlin.
He's got something. But no, Benny Snell, Benny Snell football, mate. He's going to run through that 2 yards and I don't know. Look, I wish him all the best because I want to see the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I do wish him all the best. What is Benny Snell football? That's the thing. We haven't seen.
We have not seen. I don't know. Has he scored? He scored a touchdown, right? Has he? He scored a few. Has he? Can you look that up? Look that up. Look up if Benny Snell has scored a touchdown in the NFL. Okay. While you do that, all 53-man roster receivers. I've gone with Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Austin, Untitled, and Anthony Miller. Now, we may be a little bit different here, I think. I think so. But the reason why I went Miller is I think Miller's got a good connection with Trubisky, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I know from like some video I put out a while ago. Miller was used in the slot by Chicago. He has got an understanding with Mitch Trubisky. He was one of Mitch's go-to guys. I think the first 4 on your list pretty much picked themselves: Claypool, Johnson, Pickens, and Austin. Yeah. But I mean, Gunnar O or Shesky, I think. I remember I rewatched the Missy
Shesky, yeah.
I rewatched the video the other day just so I could pronounce it right. But he's been apparently very impressive at minicamp and at OTAs. And I know it's football in shorts, but apparently he's been getting separation. He's quick. Apparently he's looked pretty decent. And kick return, punt return, he's pretty decent at that. He's got kind of like Julian Edelman type vibes about him.
Yeah, that's all right.
I mean, if he could perform half what Julian Edelman was for the Patriots, then I'd take that.
Well, he's the one that caught that ball off like the almost hit the grass in the 50. Was it 51 Super Bowl? Yeah, it was.
Edelman,
it was a crazy catch. Now we're going to the tight ends here because we'll just go run right through, and then I'll bring up your slide. Did you find out about Snell having a touchdown?
6, apparently.
He's got 6, does he?
Apparently.
Okay.
There must be counting touchdowns in practice. I don't know.
Fair enough. But we do wish him all luck. But at some stage you have to turn Benny Snell football into first downs and getting more than 10 yards or something similar to that. Like
apparently he scored 4 in 2020.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 in 2019. There you go.
So he didn't score one. He didn't score 1 last year because they didn't use him last year that much as well. Okay, now we have. This is probably the one of the easiest ones I had to do was Pat Frymouth, Zach Gentry. Those two together are like they're kind of like Cameron Hayward and Stephon Tuitt. They're just like brothers hanging out, having a good time. And I put in there Connor Hayward. Would you agree with this list?
100% agree with that list. And I think Zach Gentry's going to have a massive year. I really do. I've seen, from listening to what the coaches have said, listening to what people that watch the practices have said, he's come on loads, just absolutely shed loads in the last 2-3 years since he came out of Michigan State. So, yeah, I 100% agree with that list, Mark. Definitely.
The dude is like 6'6". I think they'll use him more in run blocking too. I think they'll use Muth in some run blocking as well. Kind of gives me those vibes of like who was Miller? When Miller had the second guy. I just forgot his name.
Vance McDonald.
Yeah, not Vance McDonald. There's another bloke.
Oh, Matt Spaeth.
Spaeth, yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, those kind of vibes, right? So Muth would be Miller and Gentry would be Spaeth. So it gives me those vibes. And you didn't lie. You agreed we'd be there. I think you had the same here. You have Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Austin, and Gunnar O. So the 5 receivers. And you have the same tight ends. Now, moving into, I think O-line will be a little bit different. So I think our O-line is it different? No, I think there's one player different for the O-line.
Well, then.
Yeah, so I've got here Dan Moore Jr., Kevin Dotson, Kendrick Green, Mason Cole, James Daniels, Chooks, Joe Haig, JC, and Trent Scott. So I've got 9, right? The big thing as well, I think the lead runner right now is Mason Cole for center. And I think Kendrick Green is trying to go back up as reports we hear now. So he might be backup center or backup guard. So I think the 5 will be Dan Moore, Dotson, Cole, James Daniels, and Chooks. And I think we have Joe Haig, JC, and because he's another backup center, and Trent Scott, another bloke. Would you agree with this list, or do you have something different? I will bring yours up in a minute.
I think I didn't go with quite as many. I think I went with 8. I think I didn't bother with Trent Scott. Joe Haig's your swing tackle there.
Yeah, this is yours here.
Yeah. So, yeah, mine was slightly different. I didn't bother. I'll put John Leglue in. Just because he was very solid last year. I just think that he can play guard, he can play tackle. He just brings a bit more than Trent Scott does. And he didn't, there's nothing he did last season that would exclude him from being in the lineup. I think Mason Cole is a shoo-in for centre. You know, listening to the guy being interviewed by Wes and Motzi the other day, he was definitely, you know, I'm a centre, I'm going to play centre. And James Daniels, I'm a right guard. I think that's a definite. The only real question mark I've got over the starting line, O-line, is who starts at left guard. And I think there is a real battle there between Dotson and Green. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I kind of like, and as you see the preview to the D line, but I kind of like the idea of Dotson and having Green just as backup. I think that's the way you have to go.
But there's one massive positive to that, Mark, though, is the fact that if you've got two guys competing and pushing each other, it's going to push the level up because they're going to try even harder, and that can only be better for the Steelers in the long run.
I've always said, since I've been doing podcasting, wherever I've been doing it, I've always said competition is key. Competition is key with football, and competition is key in life. I think you need competition to excel. Now, let's move into the D-line. Now we have no Tuitt there, right? This is where it gets interesting. I think the offense was kind of easier to pick than the defense. So we have no Tuitt. I've gone with Cameron Heyward, ALUALU, LOUDERMILK, Wormley, Adams, and Leal. I've gone with 6, so 3 starters. I think Wormley may start, and I think LOUDERMILK may back up behind Heyward or Wormley. What are your thoughts on these 6, and then I'll bring up yours?
I mean, looking at the depth charts, the way too early depth charts, LOUDERMILK was seemingly behind Heyward and Wormley was starting. That is my one concern about the D-line is Wormley. Wormley had a good year last year, don't get me wrong. He had a solid year, shall we say. But what worries me about Wormley the most is his run defense. He got moved out of the way too easy last year. His pass rush is good. Don't get me wrong, his pass rush is great, but it's his run defense which is the big weakness. And hopefully having ALUALU back will support that. But he does worry me as a starter.
I like the idea we have Montravius Adams there too. I caught an interview. I think he did an interview the other day, and he said he was just so excited to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And I think he had I don't know where I heard it because there's so many Steeler things going on, but I heard him say that he had 4 opportunities to be a Steeler, 4 opportunities to be to go to another team, and he chose the Steelers because of the legacy that they're building here, and the legacy of the Steelers. So to me, it's look, we didn't know what was going to happen with Tuitt. We didn't know how he was going to play, but I kind of like the big question is well, we know how Heyward plays. The big question is, can TYSON ALUALU finish his career strong? You know, that's probably the biggest question because, yes, he's a good player. He's been a great player for 12 years or whatever it is, right? Can you finish strong? Because this D-line could be weak to a certain part if you haven't, because there's no one really too young on the D-line for starters. Wormley's been in the league a long time. He's been about, I think, 6-7 years, right? So you're going to go with Heyward, ALUALU, all old guys, and then bring in the younger guys like Leal, and then possibly could carry 6 or 7. I don't know. This is my little list here. But you've gone with someone different. I think it's this one here. So walk me through this. Walk me through how you've got who you got here. Carlos Davis is different.
I just added an extra one in just because I think if you look back at the last couple of years, the Steelers have always carried slightly more defensive linemen into the season. You know, I think given obviously the injuries they've had, high attrition position in terms of, you know, the physicality of the position. I think, you know, Cam Tyson will be a definite. I personally would start LOUDERMILK at left defensive end, just because his run blocking is so much better than Wormley's. His pass rush isn't great, but what's encouraging for me is he's worked with Cam a lot over this spring period. So hopefully he's picked up some stuff from Cam. I think Carlos Davis just provides that extra option, and I think they will go with slightly more defensive linemen again. I mean, they've got him with eight previously, so I think 7 is not unquestionable. I think it's possible.
Yeah, they try and do that rotation, don't they? Try and do the rotation where you have the 3 starters and then bleed some guys in throughout the game, and also injuries are part of the game too. So it's a long season now, 17 games. So you know, maybe I'm off only having 6, but I tried to make room for other players. And this exercise was quite hard as well. So before you guys, you know, judge and call his names and say you don't know anything, you bunch of you don't know, like Yo, man, it is quite hard. It's quite hard for, people to actually look at the roster and choose them. And imagine how hard it would be to think up defensive schemes or offensive schemes for the actual coaches to say, well, I need this player here. And then, like, say, for instance, it would be Matt Canada would be lobbying for, I need one more player. I need one more player here. Whereas Terrell Austin would be saying, actually, no, I need that spot for this player for my defense. This will help with that. Do you think those discussions would exist in the locker room?
Oh, definitely. There'll be a definite sit down between Matt Canada, between Terrell, and between Brian Flores and Mike Tomlin, and a discussion over where they want depth, where they want extra depth, etc., etc. And I think, looking at that D line, it is a priority position because you've got to manage ALUALU's snaps this year. He cannot be taking 80% of snaps this year because of his age. And I think the left defensive end may well be by committee.
Yeah, it's true because I kind of think now, you probably would have add in 7. So Carlos Davis could be in there. He's been in there before. But I tried to make room for my new favorite player that no one likes. And we're going to the outside linebacker. I've gone with TJ Watt, Highsmith, Derrick, 48, TSUZKA, and TUZAR skipper. But also, this was quite hard to do as well because when I only had 4, I thought about having 5 on the roster because I wanted to include Jannard Avery because I wanted to include both. But then you go into the middle linebacker section, and I wanted 5 there as well. So what are your thoughts about this? I think we have different opinions, but I just want to see them have a go.
Think TJ and Alex are definite, and I think TJ and Alex will have a massive year this year. TSUZKA finished the season very well, so I agree with that. I just think that Avery would bring Avery brings slightly more to the team, slightly more to the party than TUZAR skipper does. Philadelphia fans, I know, were very complimentary about him. He can play inside as well as outside. I heard him. I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard him compared a bit to been very much like an Arthur Motes type player. So I just think that they will go with Jannard Avery because he was signed earlier. He just brings a little bit more than Skipper can bring, unless Skipper has an unbelievable training camp and an unbelievable preseason again. I think it's open, but the outside linebacker position is one that really does concern me because should we lose one of TJ or Alex, I mean, obviously more so TJ, but should we lose even Alex, have you really got the depth there? And I mean, the quality depth there to come in and replace them. That's what really worries me about this outside linebacker depth chart.
Well, that's an interesting question because when you say quality depth, right? So with TJ being the best in the league, right, defensive player of the year, he creates that void, doesn't he? Because he is the best. He's the best. He's the best player on the team. So how do you live up to filling in for TJ Watt? You just can't. You just can't do his production. Also, Motes, if you're listening, mate, come on the show. Come on the Syndicate if you see this. That'd be fun to have both on here. Yeah, keep sending him a buzzword. Now, I want to move into the next one is middle linebacker. And guys, this was quite hard because I went from having, I think, try to choose 9 in total. So I went Miles Jack, Devin Bush, Spillane, I think will make it. I want to see what Buddy Johnson can do in second year. And I couldn't leave out Mark Robinson. So I had Mondo in the defensive line. I took him out and I put Mark Robinson in. For the pure fact is, I didn't want to lose him how we lost Roche last year on the practice squad because I think he's could be a superstar in the making. He's quite fit. He's athletic. So I had to put him 5 in there, but that could be totally wrong. But I just didn't want to see another team pick up Mark Robinson. But it was quite hard, and I dropped Marcus Allen and UG3. What are your thoughts on this before I show your list?
Miles Jack, Devin Bush will be huge this year. I think as good as Levante David and Devin White. Spillane is a top depth piece. And I agree with you. I really want to see what Buddy Johnson can bring to the party this year. I think Buddy he's the one who can be that, was it the Mac backer that we haven't got or the Buck? I can't remember Mac and Buck. I get confused which one's which. But he can be the Vince Williams replacement that we haven't had last season. He's big, he's physical, he's a thumper. Yeah, I think Buddy Johnson, I really want to see what he can bring to the pie. Personally, I think they'll put Mark Robinson on the practice squad, given the fact he's only had 1 year at playing linebacker.
True, that's a good point.
Given the step up between college and the NFL being so massive, and the fact he was only at Ole Miss, no disrespect to them in the SEC, but they're not Bama, they're not Georgia, they're not Texas A&M. I just think I think they'll stash him on the practice squad because I think they'll want him to get more experience before they actually throw him in there. You know, given the fact that, you know, you get an injury or two, you're going to have to start chucking him into the actual team. So, you know, I think that Robinson might not make it.
That's a very good point, though. He's only played it for 1 year. Now, I bring up your list here. So the deciding factor, I think, was you had Marcus Allen. So talk me through having Marcus Allen on this list.
Mark, it hurt, man. It hurt writing that name. I mean, I personally, Mark, you know what? When I wrote this list, I actually put Robinson down and then I deleted it. And then I put Allen down just because I thought I'll go with what I think the Steelers will do. And I just think that Marcus Allen, because of because of his special teams ability, and that's it.
And he's dancing.
And he's dancing. Yeah, I mean, he's an awesome dancer, man. I mean, since we've lost Juju, we need new TikTok. Is it TikTok? Is it? I don't know.
Nothing really. You know what's funny about Marcus Allen, and then shoot me down, Marcus Allen, if you're watching, but nothing really says to me that he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't got that like physical nature. I don't think that to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And look, I'm not the one playing, but I can comment because I've got a channel. Yeah. Only joking. Look, I just don't know what I see. I'm not okay. As a fan, I'm not like intrigued to go out and buy his jersey. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing intrigues me about the guy to go buy his jersey.
No, and for me, Marcus Allen, I mean, having watched the Steelers for so many years now, and watched since obviously Allen came to the team, I don't ever remember watching a game and going, "Wow, Marcus Allen's good, isn't he?"
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. There's no real standout play. Now, I have seen him do some good tackles, but I haven't really seen him. There's no big play that I've seen him. He's just always been there. He's a bit like the same role as Snell.
Exactly. And you look at like Bush. I mean, I know Bush draws a lot of criticism, but in his rookie year, he was excellent. In his sophomore year, until he got injured against the Browns, he was excellent. Miles Jack, we know what Miles Jack brings. Buddy Johnson, okay, the jury's still out.
Spillane had the big tackle.
Yeah, Spillane's had that Derrick Henry tackle. He had the interception off Lombardi. He returned to the house. You can remember Spillane doing things. That's the thing. Whereas Marcus Allen, like I said, I only put him down because I think it's what the Steelers will do, because they seem to really value those players that bring that special teams ability. And he does that. But I can't ever remember watching a game. And guys, if you're watching this, please drop something in the comments if you can tell me a game where Marcus Allen stood out and was excellent. Please do.
I can't either, because even with Spillane too, he's pretty good on special teams, and that's where he got his niche. He's good tackler. He's always around the football. He's a football head. What I saw with Buddy Johnson last year in preseason, I kind of liked him, and what I've seen on some highlights of him, I think he's very physical. But out of all the guys, the reason why I chose Mark Robinson over Allen was because I think he was more physical and more like a linebacker that the Steelers need than Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen does seem like that safety, like maybe even cornerback. He doesn't look like a linebacker to me. He just doesn't look like.
He wasn't, was he? He was a safety when he first came into the team.
Yeah, safety / linebacker. You know, piece. He's a bit like Carl Joseph, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know where he fits in this team. And with the addition of Miles Jack, and now having Robert Spillane being third, or Buddy Johnson, who could be third or fourth, where does he fit? Where does he fit in this middle linebacker room? That's a big question, I think.
I mean, if you look at his production last year on defense, he had 6 solo tackles. That was it. I mean, career-wise, just looking now at his career, he's played 32 games for the Steelers and has got 45 total tackles, 26 solos, 19 assists, no sacks, no forced fumbles, no fumble recoveries, no interceptions, no passes.
There you go. He has to be. He might be one of the guys that gets cut this year, because even like cornerbacks and other safeties are making more plays than him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might be the guy this year that we look and go, how did he make the team? How did he make the team this year? Because with the addition of Miles Jack and these other fellas and Devin Bush coming back, I think there has to be, and I think he's the big thing. I would rather have no idea what to expect from Buddy Johnson, like no idea, right? Yeah. Than to bring back Marcus Allen. If they cut Buddy Johnson and don't bring bring back Marcus Allen, what do we do? What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, Like, that's why I put in Mark Robinson there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I 100%. I agree with you. Like I said, I only put Allen down because that's what I think the Steelers will do. And he was another. It was the same as last year. I thought he wouldn't get in, and they'd go with the 4, and that Roche would make the extra spot, and then they obviously put Roche on the practice squad. We lost him. And then Allen got in, and UG3 got in, and it was just a bit like, what? Why?
I think even UG3 is a better player than Marcus Allen as well. At least he gets in there and gets dirty. I never, from what I've seen with Allen, because they don't normally play him like in the nickel or some of those dime packages where it's 3rd and 10, right? And he's not really getting too physical down in the box with the runners. I don't see that. I just don't see him playing too much. Actually, we talked about too much of Marcus Allen. Do you want to move on?
Yes, move on. I'm bored of Marcus Allen now.
All right. So let's go into cornerback here. Where are we? Yes. Okay. So this is my 5 here. I got Witherspoon, Wallace, Cameron.SUTTON, Arthur Millette, and I included Trey Norwood in the cornerback position, even though he can play cornerback and he can play safety. But I thought they might go with 5 this year. Now, there are some other programs out there that chat Steelers, and they know nothing, right? They had an inkling of talking about Cameron.SUTTON being traded. And I was like, are you joking? Like, Cameron.SUTTON, yes, he may not be the best player or the greatest player, but what I saw with a video the other day, I don't know if you saw it, but I saw Cameron.SUTTON talking about communication. I did a video the other day on the Syndicate here, and I like what he was doing with the defense, getting everyone grouped together. He was a vocal leader on this defense. Like, I like that Sutton's here. Other people were thinking about trading him. I don't think you want to trade him. I think he's a solid player for this defense. He could play on the outside. He can play in slot. You can play him anywhere.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree. Cam's, and also they only gave him a new deal last year, so I can't see them getting rid of him. And he didn't do anything last year that was particularly bad that would get him traded. I mean, he plays a lot of passion. If you look at, that when he stuffed the three flicker play that the Buffalo tried week 1. He got
an interception. I think got 1 or 2 interceptions last year, I think.
Yeah, he hammered that guy hammered against in Minnesota. I can't see Sutton been traded away. I just don't understand that thinking at all. I mean, Witherspoon, yeah, I agree. Levi Wallace, I think a lot of people will be very surprised by Levi Wallace. I think he's going to be excellent, absolutely excellent. Mole, yeah, can play slot, can play dime. I think he's definite. I think I put Norwood in my safeties, but Norwood
is yours now. This is your list here.
Yeah, so I went with 6 there. So Wallace, Witherspoon, Sutton, Mullay, the same as yours. I think Steele will make the lineup. I do think he is someone who can bring something different. He is an outside corner, but just his story reminds me a bit of the Mike Hilton story. And I think James Pierre, they'll give him 1 more year to prove himself.
Yeah, fair enough. So I'm intrigued to see if Steele does make it or James Pierre. I don't really care who makes it. But I had to include in this scenario, I had to include Trey Norwood at cornerback because I think he can play both. But I want to bring up a quick story about Trey Norwood. So I was watching the other day. I was watching Dallas Cowboys versus Steelers in the Hall of Fame game. A couple of years ago, right? And Trey Norwood was so interesting to me when I watched him, right? And we know what he did. We know what he did was also in that Buffalo Bills game where he came out and got 3 pass deflections. They got 2 big tackles or 3 tackles for, before the sticks, and they couldn't convert first downs. But what I like about Trey Norwood is his ability to focus on the football and focus on the play. Because there was a play in the preseason game. And I know it's preseason, but I loved it when I look back at it. Garrett Gilbert rolls out to the left. Right, he rolls it to the left. He has to throw to his left. Now, Trey Norwood is playing on your screens, on your the closest to you on the left-hand side. So he's the furthest away from the quarterback. He runs down, cuts off the angle, and smacks down the ball as the pass is going from across his body, because you have to throw from right to left. If the quarterback's rolling to the left, you can't throw like on Madden back away to the right. Yeah. So Trey Norwood knows that he won't go his side of the field. So what does he do? He tracks down the player. He watches the quarterback's eyes, gets into the route, and breaks up the play. The other Steeler, who was playing man-to-man coverage, wasn't quick enough to come back to the ball, but Trey Norwood intercepts the pass, knocks it down, and I was like, this guy gets it. And we saw that too. We saw Trey Norwood play well with the Buffalo game, and then as the year progressed, it was kind of up and down. But I think he gets it. I think around in this defense, I think he's going to be. I think he'll be something this year. I really do.
It's another year, I suppose. He's had the year's development last year, and he does seem to have good football intelligence, and that's one thing. And I think he would have been picked a little bit higher had he not had the injury record that he had in college. So yeah, I agree. And he also got that interception in Ben's last game at Heinz Field that allowed Ben to go and take the knee.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Norwood will have a good year. I really do. Like I said, I've put him as a safety because I think he can play as safety as well.
Yeah,
He can.
Here's your list now with the safety. So you've gone with Minka, Edmonds, Damontae Kazi, Trey Norwood, and Killebrew. So what are your thoughts about this one? And then I'll end with my stuff.
So I've gone with obviously Minka, Terrell, and Kazee because I think we'll be using them as like in some 3 safety looks. I think we'll be using Kazee deep, Minka to roam, and Terrell Edmonds to come up to the line to play the slot or to support the run defense or track the tight end, which he's brilliant at. Trey Norwood is that Swiss Army knife who can play at safety, or he can play at cornerback, or he can play at slot. So I think that position flexibility that Mike Tomlin loves. And I just think Miles Killebrew will get him because he is an outstanding special teams player. I mean, I think he blocked 2 punts. He blocked 2 punts last year, and I think that's what will get him into the team.
Yeah, 100%. So I agree with you. I've got Minka, Terrell, and Killebrew. I think our difference there is I've added Carl Joseph for the safety. I just got this feeling that they'll bring him back. They'll bring him from the practice squad and maybe give him a chance this year to start. And my thinking is I think Damontae Kazi will be behind Minka or Terrell. And you're going to have some depth there with Carl Joseph and Kazi. And Killebrew won't really see the field that much on defense, but he is an ace on special teams. Like you said, he blocked 2 punts. That is huge. That is huge play for a Killebrew. We could have had a third blocked, field goal with Minka and Joe Hayden, but we won't talk about that because they were offside, which is one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life. But I've gone here, those 5, but we'll see. Let's end this with our special teams. Nothing really changes here. I don't even know the guys' names. I don't even know the other guys' names, right? That we have on the roster. All I know is that we have Chris Boswell, Presley Harvin, and Christian Kuntz. So your thoughts on these three fellas? They have to make it, right? There's no way they
I mean, Chris Boswell's going to the last year of his deal. Chris Boswell is, I mean, this is slightly controversial in the NFL terms, but not in Steeler terms. Chris Boswell is the best kicker in the NFL. End of story. He's better than Tucker. He's the best. The guy is just ice. He's money in the bank. I love Chris Boswell. He's amazing. I think Presley Harvin went through a lot last year, obviously losing his dad, losing his grandmother. He did go through an awful lot. So I think it's a real make or break year for Presley Harvin this year because obviously his focus will solely be on football. I think there could only have been pressure on Presley Harvin going into this year if we'd kept hold of Corliss Waitman.
Yeah.
Because I was very impressed with him at the end of last year. But obviously he's gone to Denver, I think, now.
He'll play good there. He's got a big leg. He's a good punter.
He was good last year, and I was really impressed in the games he played for the Steelers, actually, how he did. And if we'd retained him, I personally would have put Waitman in ahead of Harvin. And then Christian Kuntz is, I think, he's the only long snapper we've got. And plus, I know how much you love him, Mark. So
there's another guy there. That's why I said I don't know their names. Let me think. I've got the chart up here. So there's another kicker too, but I don't think another kicker makes it. We have on the Nick Skibar, the undrafted rookie for kicker, and I think he set records in the college. I think he's one of the highest. He's actually really good young kicker. So we might put him on the practice squad. I don't know. I think Boswell's the man though. And we have Cameron. Dude, I can't pronounce his last name. Nizvecchio
or something, yeah. But no, I remember that kicker there. I remember doing someone did a video on the Syndicate about undrafted free agents. That Skiba guy is very, very good at his job. But I just you feel sorry for him because you come into Pittsburgh where Chris Boswell is the king and the Wizard of Boz will.
The Wizard of Boz, mate, he's unreal. Like there's a rule that I don't really do too many videos on him because I don't want to hex him. But he's the Wizard.
He's amazing.
He's a 90%, 89% conversion rate, and Tucker has 91%, and no one talks about Boswell.
I know. And he's
No
better than
one, no
Tucker.
one talks about
He's
Boswell.
better than Tucker. And I just don't understand. I mean, the guy holds the record at kicking field. Everyone says that Heinz Field is the worst place to kick field goals in the NFL. And the guy holds, I think it's what, 50-odd yards, 52 yards last season. He broke the record.
Mike Tomlin trusts him 100% in any scenario. Yes, he pushed him out of there a few times. There was one year, maybe might have been last year, we pushed him out there for 55 or 56, but and he missed it. I think he missed it. And but also the bloody commentators always hex him too. This guy's going for 30 in a row, and then he misses one. So I think he's a legend. Should we end the show now and we'll get into the mailbag? Right? Are you ready for the 2 questions we have?
That sounds good.
All right. Only 2 questions this week, but we have one from James Dawn. Would you offer Diontae Johnson a new contract before the new season? That's a big topic.
No.
No. Why is that? Talk
because he's had one really good year. He's eliminated. Yeah. You know, he was known as Deontay Dropson, obviously, previously. He's eliminated the drops more now. I think he had something like the 2nd lowest drop rate in the NFL or 3rd lowest drop rate in the NFL last year. You know, even people like Debo had a higher drop rate than him. I just would want to see a 2nd year from him to go out there and say, right, prove it. Prove you're worth that deal, because then I think obviously going into next year we're going to have a really interesting situation where do we offer Claypool a new deal or do we offer Diontae Johnson a new deal? That's going to be the big.
That's true. And also, you know, receivers, we know how to draft them. We just drafted Pickens and Austin. So there's no real rush to me to go out and sign him to a big deal to make him the highest paid, or not the highest paid, but you know, up there. I think receivers can just really grow on trees. I think we have some guys there, and even the guys on practice squad, you can turn receivers into magic as well and money. So I agree with you. Don't sign him just yet. Let him hang on the fence for a bit. Make him earn the contract this year, and go out and win some games. You know.
I think as well, the one thing that could really decide this is if Diontae Johnson has another huge year this coming year, and Pickens has a huge year this coming year, I think it could actually spell the end of Claypool's time in Pittsburgh, as much as I hate that because I'm a big Claypool fan. But Pickens is the same body type, he's the same size, same as Claypool, whereas we haven't really got another Diontae Johnson. He is very much in the Antonio Brown mold. He's very much Antonio Brown size, Antonio Brown quickness. He's very much in that mold. CA3 obviously is very fast, but he's not the same stature. So, yeah, that could be what happens.
The thing is, to me, I'm not really worried because the Steelers go out and draft them so easily. So if they go in with Deontay or Claypool, whoever makes it, then they will draft someone next year. And I don't know who they are. It doesn't matter. The Steelers always find gems. So let's go into our last question with the mailbag. It's a good question from Michael Arms that says, what is the better story? A bust-out season for the rookie QB or Super Bowl redemption for quality vet QB? And what do you reckon? What's the better story? Kenny Pickett or redemption from Trubisky?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I'd love to see both. Probably, do you know what? Trubisky. I'd love to see him prove people wrong, because I think I think he got a rough deal in Chicago. Because I mean, let's face it, Chicago is the place where quarterbacks seem to go to die. I mean, when your best quarterback was what? Mike Tomczak, Jim McMahon. I mean, how many years since they played? Jay Cutler, I don't know, but just some absolute dross. But it's just like he went to Chicago and he had to work for one of the worst offensive head coaches in the NFL in Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was garbage, man. And ask any Bears fan, they'll tell you how bad Nagy was. Nagy tried to turn Trubisky into a pocket passer. He's not a pocket passer. He's a mobile quarterback. He's a Josh Allen type quarterback. They didn't get the best of him. They didn't get the best of his arm because he was only really used for like that dink and dunk passing, and the majority of the Bears offense went through Cohen and Montgomery. So I would love to see him prove people wrong, especially as he gets so much abuse from people because he was picked second. He was picked ahead of Mahomes. He was picked ahead of Deshaun Watson. So, that I think was it Adams called it the draft shaft. He suffers from that. So yeah, I'd love to see him stick it down everyone's throat.
It'd be great. Do you want to see my impression of Jay Cutler?
Go on then.
That was it.
That's good.
Imagine that guy. Imagine that guy firing you up like in the locker room. Like
amazing.
One of the most boringest quarterbacks in history.
Doesn't he do his own podcast now?
What, this?
Yeah, that.
Like he was the most boringest quarterback in the history.
Apparently he does podcasts now, apparently.
Well, we should get him on the show because it'd be riveting experience. Absolutely riveting. Like
Jim
he honestly
would be. He was a nutcase.
Jay Cutler was one of the most boringest quarterbacks to watch in the whole NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar to Joe Flacco. Like just no energy. You know, at least Big Ben showed energy and like something about him. But Cutler just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. He's like, oh, it's okay. I'll just go throw it today. Anyways, I to answer the question to almost end the show, I think as well it's going to be Trubisky with the Super Bowl redemption because Kenny Pickett has time.
Yeah.
And it will be fun to create that controversy of, will they keep Pickett?
Turns us into an Eagles.
What if he does well? What if Trubisky does really well and we have Pickett on the roster? Well, you don't trade him. You just keep him for the 4 years and see what happens. You know?
Yeah. It's a bit like it'd be a bit like the Eagles situation after Foles won the Super Bowl against New England, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well,
they kept Wentz and they got rid of Foles, which is
well, mate, no one should keep Wentz. I don't know how Wentz. You and I could play a better quarterback than Wentz. Like honestly, like we'd have better progression and reading, and we'd be out of the pocket faster. I know I'd be out of the pocket real fast. Like I would throw the ball away so quick. Like Wentz just stands there. He's pretty similar to Jay Cutler. Just stands there and doesn't do anything.
I think Wentz was Wentz was all right until he got injured. And you know, if you look at if you look at Carson Wentz, even pre ACL to post ACL, he's a different player completely.
Yeah. Well, this ain't the Wentz show. This ain't the Jay Cutler show. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. So we enjoy you guys watching. If you made it this far, hit that sub. If you made it through 42 minutes of Steeler Talk, hit that sub. Right now, Owen, is there anything else going on you think in the Steel land that you want to bring up today? Any news happening? Like we're pretty quiet now at the moment, right?
Yeah. The only one thing I wanted to sort of say was just, I don't know if you saw Mark, but Mike Tomlin talking to the team the other day. The guy is amazing. The guy is absolutely amazing. And I heard a fantastic story that Keller Witherspoon told about him that just for me shows the caliber of this guy. He said that he was aware that on the team there were people who didn't have father figures in their lives, who didn't have a male presence in their life. And if they wanted someone to talk to or to be that male light in their life, he was willing to do that. And that just speaks volumes for the guy. The guy is he's awesome. And you know what? If you don't like Mike Tomlin, go and support the Bungles, for goodness sake.
Yeah, this debate is almost over. Pretty much, I've shown my thoughts, and I made a video the other day with Mike Tomlin. And you know what I have to say with Mike Tomlin right now? Yeah. And I know we say to you guys, go kick rocks, but it's at the point where we honestly do not care. And do you know who else doesn't care? This guy.
We do not care.
We do not care. Mike Tomlin doesn't care. Get over yourself. If you hate Tomlin, honestly, get over yourself. Move on. We've heard the argument for 5 years. We're done with it. Move on. He's successful. He will be in the Hall of Fame. I had a chance. Maybe I was going to go see Troy in the Hall of Fame. If I get a chance, I would rather shoot me down, but I really don't care. I would rather go see Mike Tomlin in the Hall of Fame than I would go see Big Ben. I don't know if you feel the same way, Owen, but I would just want to see. I would love that presentation. I think it'd be great. Also, because a lot of all the other Steelers fans would come round. I know they all would, but I mean, like Steelers players. But Mike Tomlin has a really good chance to make the Hall of Fame. And I said it. I'll say it again. Mike Tomlin is a winner, and you need to deal with it. It's something that the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base, 5% of you need to deal with that. And there is something going on if you can't see that he's a winner. Oh, but he doesn't win. He doesn't win playoff games. He has won 154 victories and only 86 losses. He is up there with all the best. He's one of the best coaches. Everyone seems to love this guy except 5 or 10% of the Steeler Nation, and I just don't get it. And your time's up. Your time is up talking about firing Mike Tomlin because we've heard enough. You know what? I'll give you one more out. You can have one more out because this is going to be my nail in the coffin. If the Pittsburgh Steelers go into to the Bengals country and beat them, surely that is enough to say you would rest your case on Mike Tomlin. Can you imagine that if they still want to fire him after that?
Oh, they will. They will, Mark. They will, Mark. Mark, if we won the Super Bowl by 70 points to 0 and we scored 70 points through 10 Najee Harris running touchdowns, they'd say, yeah, but we didn't score a passing touchdown, did we?
It's honestly a joke. And I've been the first few years, I'm like, okay, we hear you. We understand you, but like, we get it. It's been 5 years. We lose some games. The Super Bowls are hard to win. The bloke's been to one. Been to two. He's won 1 out of 2. He's won countless AFC North titles. He has countless Pro Bowlers. And the other argument too is like, oh, but there were Bills players. And I went on a rant too that you can't just get rid of all your players. Of course, you're going to have players in transition. It happens with every workforce. The players turn over and you can't just put them out and put new guys in. It's beyond a joke right now. Mike Tomlin is a winner. He has a winning culture. He's having fun with the team. And this team is set up for success. And I'm telling you right now, if they go and beat the Bengals, and we'll talk about this, if they go and beat the Bengals, you really need to be quiet. Like honestly, I don't want to hear the comments saying that all these things.
Yeah, I mean, the argument about always Bill Cowher's players, well, then, so when John Gruden won the Super Bowl for Tampa Bay, was that because it was Tony Dungy's players? Are we using that argument?
It's beyond ridiculous. Look, I don't care. People call me out because look, go kick rocks. He's won so many games, and the playoffs. Yes, we've had 4 chances and we've lost, but that's part of life. Losing is part of life, and so is winning. And Coach Tomlin is a winner. Any final thoughts you want to end on this podcast? We got with a bit of a rant, but that's all right.
No, I think that's all good, Mark. You know, looking forward to training camp in 7 weeks or 6 and a bit weeks time. So yeah,
I think we'll be breaking down the color, the color scheme and what actual black and gold it's made out of because it is so quiet, right? We can probably talk about what the Steelers' favorite colors are, what their favorite food is. You know, we have a real quiet dead period for the next like 40 days or something before things happen in training camp. So. Stick with us because we are trying to go hard in the paint. We have over now 1,070 subs, so we appreciate all of you guys. We even appreciate the Tomlin haters, but I just don't understand where you're coming from. This is the point now where, we're all on the same train. Just jump on, support your team. That's what we do. We're supporters, Why else would you want to follow a team and like a team and then hate them consistently? There's probably some, I don't know, there's something wrong with that. Like, for me, I'll support them if they're 2-14 or whatever, 2-15.
100% agree with Mark. Yeah, even if they were 0-17, I'd still support them.
That's what we are. We're fans and we're supporters of the team, and whoever dawns the black and gold, we support them 100%. But we thank you guys for checking out the Steelers Syndicate podcast. Was a fantastic one. Let's end it here. Should I play Tomlin or should I play the outro?
Play the out. Let's get our cheesy music.
All right, we'll see you later.